Atmosphere, composition and structure of the atmosphere. So today, children will be doing the topic on atmosphere, which is very, very important for Earth. Life on the Earth is possible because of the atmosphere. And what is it? It is one of the realms of the Earth. The other two realms are the hydrosphere and the lithosphere and atmosphere all together make life possible on the Earth. So, atmosphere, what is it? The definition will be that it is a deep blanket of gases that envelop the Earth's environment, held to the Earth by the gravitational force, which is colorless, odorless, as well as tasteless. Because children, because of atmosphere and its gravitational pull of the Earth, we find some air around us, and this air is composed of many gases, water vapor, dust particles, which makes various climatic features happening and life possible on the Earth. Water is present also because of the atmosphere, because moisture is present in the atmosphere. Then it saves us from the ultraviolet rays of the sun, as well as from the meteors which get burnt when coming towards the earth because of the atmosphere. So all these features make atmosphere very, very important for life on the earth. So it is a blanket of air surrounding the earth, which is known as atmosphere, and it exists in several layers around the earth. So the highermost layer will be of about 32 kilometers thick. It is said to be. No clear-cut limit has been given where it gradually merges with the outer space, because some think that it is very thick. Earlier, it was thought it was only 800 kilometers above the surface, but later uh, it was discovered that at least 32,000 kilometers thick. It is the atmosphere is of 32,000 kilometers thick at least. So these layers, it is made up of various layers, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. So altogether, it is of 4 5 layers, and these layers become thinner with altitude. So as we go higher up the altitude, the air becomes thinner and thinner. This is because the less air is pressing down from above. The gravitational force decreases as one moves higher up the altitude. And why is it important for us? Because it protects the earth from harmful ultraviolet rays, infrared rays of the sun. It has oxygen, nitrogen, and life sustaining gases, and helps in retaining the necessary warmth of the earth, and helps in circulation of water vapor, which is the source of rainfall. Now, the gases which it is composed of, mainly of nitrogen, and about 78% oxygen is of 21%, then argon 1%, and other gases also, which include water vapor, dust particles, as well as the carbon dioxide, which is only 1% present, but they are very, very vital for the existence or life on the earth, and they have each have very important role to play. Now, amongst the gases, now we are doing the composition of atmosphere. So mainly it is composed of various gases, water vapor, and dust particles. The gases which are present largely and which do not, the concentrated concentration of it remains almost the same, is known as the constant gas, and the ones which are very less in amount, and they keep changing as time changes, or anything due to man's action, it keeps changing, and therefore they are known as variable gases. The example of constant gas will be nitrogen, oxygen, and variable gases will be methane, helium, water vapor, and dust particles. These are the variable gases. Now, why is nitrogen important for us? Because it it is about 78% and it is mainly added in the atmosphere because of the volcanic activity. It is very important component of protein in meat, milk, eggs, and the tissue of plants, especially grains and members of the pea family, that is the pulses. It cannot be ingested directly or digested directly by organism, but it is made available to us through the plants and animals by compounds of it in the soil. So some of the plants are nitrogenous soil, nitrogen fixing plants, sorry, not soil, nitrogen fixing plants, which take the nitrogen from the soil and it gets added in the plant, and we take, and that is how it enters our body. So on the whole, nitrogen is tasteless and odorless and colorless gas. Now the other important gas which is there is oxygen, which is very, very important for plants and animals and the respiratory processes. We inhale and we exhale carbon dioxide, we inhale oxygen, which is important for life. It is also important to chemical reactions, which is known as oxidation, because of which burning takes place, so it is combustible, and the breakdown of rock materials like chemical weathering also it is affected. It affects the chemical weathering because of the oxygen present there. So if you remember in the chapter rock, oxygen was present in the rocks for about 34%, not directly as a mineral, but in combination with the other minerals. So free oxygen in the atmosphere is the product of plant photosynthesis. Plants take up carbon dioxide and in process of photosynthesis they release oxygen. So oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis. And then the other constant gas can be termed as argon, which is again colorless, odorless, relatively inert gas. That means that does not have the uh, capability of moving or do not have the strength of changing. So inert gas, due to this, it is used in electric light bulbs, fluorescent tubes. It is used to form inert atmosphere for arc welding and growing of semiconductor crystals. These constant gases make up more than 99.9% of the mass of the dry air. Then we come to the variable gases. They are known as variable gas because they are present in small and variable amount. These include carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, water vapor, and particulates, that means the dust particles. And water vapor and carbon dioxide, if we talk about them, they both observe and emit long wave radiation, and ozone, which absorbs ultraviolet radiation from the sun, as well as some long wave radiation from the earth. So carbon dioxide makes up only 0.36% of the atmosphere by volume, and it is essential for photosynthesis. Then a huge quantity of carbon are stored in plant tissues, as well as it is found in some of the minerals known as coal, peat, oil, and gas. Then the other important gas variable is the methane gas. It is a greenhouse gas because if it increases in amount, it will uh, lead to global warming. It is a product of decomposition of organic matter with major natural sources being that which occurs from wetlands, termites, and oceans and hydrates, and they are thought to be responsible for 11% of methane in the atmosphere, because the termites are considered to increase the methane in the atmosphere by 11%. Now the other variable gas is the water vapor. uh, its importance is that it is responsible for the water cycle, which happens in the atmosphere as well as on the lithosphere, the water cycle, the hydrological cycle. So, water vapor is directly responsible for that. The moisture content in the atmosphere is known as water vapor. So, it has very important role because it is responsible for bringing rain to the earth and also responsible for major evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. Then carbon dioxide is responsible for the greenhouse effect of the atmosphere. It is transparent to insolation but oblique to terrestrial radiation. That means that the incoming rays, when the incoming rays are reaching the earth, the carbon dioxide reaches the surface of the earth directly. There is no obstruction in the way of incoming carbon dioxide or in affecting. So in the daytime, the carbon dioxide or at the time of insolation, that it is directly affecting the atmosphere. But uh, at night, when terrestrial radiation takes place, then it is obstructed by the atmosphere. That means the atmosphere does not allow it to uh, escape from it. So it is absorbed by the atmosphere at night, and therefore it increases the temperature at night. So this is the way it keeps a balance in the incoming radiation as well as outgoing terrestrial radiation. So carbon dioxide is important, and increase of it definitely leads to global warming. Then other variable gases are the ozone, which is very important. So it is present in troposphere as well as stratosphere, that is the two layers. So when it is present in the stratosphere, then it is very important or useful for us because it obstructs the ultraviolet rays or the UV waves, which rays which come to the earth. They reflect them back and helps in uh, reducing the heat from coming in the incoming heat. And in troposphere, if it is formed, then it causes a lot of pollution, which the ozone hole, which you have heard about, the ozone depletion, which you have heard about, that is all happening in the troposphere, where it is very harmful. And then it results into serious problems of sunburn or skin cancer, and it acts as an eye and respiratory irritant. It causes cellular damage inside the leaves of the plants, causing brown spocades and slocates, and impairing carbon dioxide uptake, the disruption of photosynthesis apparatus. Such damages can cause economic loss to the reduced crop yields. That means if the crops are destroyed, then it will definitely help the production, reduce the production of crops. So its impact is really harmful. Now, water vapor, as I told you, it is very important. It is mostly found in the temperate and the tropical areas where the atmosphere is full of water vapor, moisture, because of evaporation taking place in most in these areas. In the polar areas, the evaporation is the least, and therefore it is commonly found in the tropical and temperate regions. Then the absorption of this energy raises the temperature of the air, but clouds are generally light colored and hence reflect the incoming radiation off. Water vapor is a good absorber of Earth's outgoing radiation and thus is considered as a greenhouse gas. So absorber of heat outgoing radiation, that means the heat which is reflected, it is absorbed by the moisture or humidity or the water vapor present in the atmosphere. And hence when it is absorbed, then it increases the temperature of the area. Now your question can be asked that if the region is cloudy, then we feel the temperature is low, but then it increases the humidity in the air and makes the atmosphere or the that climatic type very very irritable and sultry. So the weather is not good at that time when the atmosphere is completely full of water vapor because it absorbs a lot of heat. In fact, the water vapor is related with the heating only. So that is why it is considered as a greenhouse gas and percolates, that means the dust particles which are present in the air. It is mostly because of in the form of dust, dirt, soot, smoke, and tiny particles of pollutants. Major natural sources of particulates are volcanoes, fires, wind blown soil and sand, sea salt, and pollen. Human sources such as factories, power plants, trash, incinerators, motor vehicles, and construction activity also contribute particulate to the atmosphere. So these are the importance of various gases. Then in your book regarding the dust particle, all these points which are given, it is marked as the points which have to be learned, what it is and the importance of it. So you may refer the book and learn it point wise. There is one point here that dust is the air produces, point number 6, in the air produces marvelous optical phenomena of red and orange hues in the sky and the sunrise and sunset, which is known as dawn and dusk respectively. And another point important will be that it is very important because they act as hydroscopic nuclei around which water vapor condenses to produce clouds. So these are dust particles. They act as the base for the formation of the uh, clouds. So water gets collected around these tiny particles of dust. And dawn and dusk, that is the sunrise and the sunset, the color which we see, the color which we see at the time of sunrise and sunset is uh, is like this. You must have experienced it also. So this is because of the refracted rays and because of the dust particles which react with the refracted rays and gives this effect. So this is all about the composition of the atmosphere.